Hello, folks, it's David here, and I would just like to take a moment to ask you to go and check out our sponsors, NordVPN. Internet security, very important. I'm sure it's something that you're concerned about as well. Me, I like to know that I'm the person in control of my data. I live on my phone, and the amount of stuff I do on it, from banking to documents to private messaging, I need to know is secure. We all know that there are bad people out there who will come in and try and get our details and try and spend our money for us. NordVPN prevents that, especially if you're using public Wi-Fi's or you're using Wi-Fi's away from your home. If you use NordVPN, you are safe and protected. It also allows you to take short holidays to places if that's ever required. It's a brilliant product. I use it every day and highly recommend it. And you can get a tremendous offer if you go to nordvpn.com/heart and hand. That's nordvpn.com/heart and hand, or use the code heart and hand to get up to 70% off your NordVPN plan. You'll also get one additional month for free. Risk free with Nord. It's 30-day money back guarantee. So all you need to do if you don't like it is just say nope, and you'll get your money back. So go and check them out. As I say, it's very important. You'll get peace of mind. Go to nordvpn.com/heart and hand. Hello everyone, and welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. My name's David Edgar, and I'm your host as always. Joining me this week to discuss Rangers' 1-0 victory over Aberdeen and current travel plans for the World Cup is David Marshall. Hello David, how is life in loyal Linwood?
Yeah, life's pretty good, mate. Can't really complain. I'm going in for surgery tomorrow, so I suppose I can't gripe then. That's pretty
You
inconvenient.
can. You can. You're gonna. I mean, Dave's got a hernia, folks. That's in danger of, actually in danger of they're going to cut you off and let it walk about, such as the size that it's grown to. So you've got that to look forward to. How long's the recuperation?
6 weeks.
Come on, that's a jakey sentence. That's a canter, can of Fanta.
See if I'm going to be.
Fine.
See if I'm going to be perfectly honest though, like not look forward to the pain and whatnot, but for the week after, I'm going to be lying in bed, not dealing with the kids and whatnot. So I mean, swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Yeah, I call the big one bitey. Right, let's get on with it. We'll start off with the announcement last week that generated so much irritation, annoyance, and downright hatred from the Rangers support, and that was of course the news that Rangers are planning to travel to Australia, no problem, for a friendly during the World Cup, got you, against Celtic. Hod the bus. It was fair to say that it was greeted with overwhelming negativity. Now, this is not just people who spend their lives on Twitter complaining. This is not just people with agendas against the board or whatever. This is everyone I've spoken to just about. Now, I don't want to say it's everyone, because I have seen on social media and on Patreon there are a few people who are for it or who don't see the problem really. That's their take on it, that it's money. Rangers are said to be making about £3 million for a week's work. Obviously, that's important. It's finance into the club, etc., etc. But the idea of taking partner friendly with a club who, let's not forget, have spent the last 10 years in particular waging a campaign of utter hatred against us. They will not use our name because of the nutters and their support. They do not believe we exist. They won't refer to it as the Old Firm Derby, although they appear to be fine when it comes to making some money off it. And to top it all off, they used the announcement, which they leaked early. It wasn't supposed to go until later in the month. They leaked the announcement early to try and deflect attention away from the fact that a judge has given the victims of the Celtic Boys Club scandal the green light to sue them. This being used in this way, of course, was a huge further annoyance to the reason for disgust among the Rangers support. And there were protests at St Johnstone. There were songs on Saturday, but I think the fans did respect the 150th anniversary in the main. However, it doesn't look as though it's an issue that's going away anytime soon. Dave, can I get your thoughts on it?
I've fallen with what must be about 95% of the Rangers support. I am not a fan of this at all. I can understand why James Bisgrove brought it to the table, and the money that's involved in it is, it's good money. It's equivalent, we've been told, of what we get for a full SPFL season, so I can understand that. But, there's just the buzzword or the phrase going around a lot at the moment, it's morals over money. And, that is where I'm falling into. I can understand people saying you need to be aware of the financial situation that we're in. But I don't think we're that grave where we absolutely have to do this friendly, and I would just rather we didn't. I don't want us going into something, as you say, with a club who absolutely hate us, deny our existence, and all that. The way it's been marketing, I think, has rightly been griped. You've seen it from the organisers' end. I've even seen the Australian A-League market it as the the homecoming of Ange Ball's World Tour featuring, also featuring Rangers. I'm not a fan of that. It's very much been put through as, Celtic are the Harlem Globetrotters and Rangers are the Washington Generals, which I'm understandably not a fan of. And I don't want us entering a commercial agreement with a club that's going through the legal ramifications that they're going through right now. I just think that's a horrible association to have linked with us, and I'd rather avoid them for as much as outside of what we're contractually obliged to do, i.e. League and Cup games in Scotland. There's just so much, bad about this that negates the positives of the money that comes from it. I think I can understand why James Bisgrove brought this to the club, but I just feel there should have been someone above him that said, no, this is just not a good idea.
Yeah, that's exactly where I am on it as well. The commercial director, as you say, he's not a Rangers fan.
Oh, he's not one of us. That's his job,
That's his job, is to bring in as much money as possible, and that's fine. He should come to the table because it's a big chunk of money. This is not, a 20 grand sponsorship. It's 3 million quid. So yeah, by all means come aboard. But somebody above him should have said, no, we can't do this. The fans will not wear this in the slightest. And as I say, I don't want to speak for everyone. I can only go though on what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, what I'm reading, what people are telling me, and the opinions are exactly the same. And it's, if it was 20 years ago, even, this might sound odd, but Celtic weren't as bad as they are now in terms of their behaviour towards us. There was a sort of, a grudged understanding of both teams' role in this, but they've denied that there's an old firm for 10 years. So now they turn around and they want to cash in on it. I just don't want to be a part of it.
I don't even like the idea from a footballing point of view either, to be honest. I know that might be a bit naive and Corinthian ideological, thinking, but I just don't like it. I don't want to be playing them in friendlies abroad.
No, the whole thing. I know exactly what you mean. It's kind of like when you rub your hand the wrong way up a snooker table. It's kind of like, it's got that slightly uncomfortable.
Pulling the freezer drawer out and it makes that noise. Oh.
Yeah, or a chair scraping on a table. It's that. It makes you just go, ugh. And then that's before you get into the point you raised, which is
the reasons.
I don't want to be associated with them at all. I don't think it does us any good. To be honest, rather than sponsors jumping to them, I think you're going to see quite a few jumping away from them this year because they don't want to be associated with them, and it's only going to get worse. So I don't really want to be involved in that. And if you even needed a reason to not get into bed with them, the way that they used it, what they used it for, of course they did that. That's who they are. That's how they think. They have no morals. This is not a club who are known for its morality. It's known for its piousness.
It's a club that used the death of Shane Warne this week to promote their sponsor. So
yep, it's And that's exactly it. That's I mean, we know how pious and how seriously they take themselves,
Yeah.
but their behaviour never ever matches their words. And yeah, just no, cancel it. I don't care how much it costs. Just cancel it. Just right, and hold your hands up and say we got this wrong. We're sorry. Fans don't like mistakes, but we all make them.
Yeah.
You know, we all make mistakes, and I don't think it's to err is human. There's nothing wrong with making a mistake, but always hold your don't double down, as the phrase goes. Just go, do you know what? We got this wrong. We're sorry. Should have listened. Next time, there won't be a next time. Learn from your mistake and move on. And I think most fans will accept that and just go, right, fair enough. But yeah, well, here we are. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's move on then to happier times. Our 150th celebration at the weekend. Dave, Rangers taking on Aberdeen at Ibrox. The Union Bears, I want to just give all the congratulations under the sun to, because it had to be big, and to take on the challenge and do a tifo was one thing. To then do one that size that lasted the whole 90 minutes, which was so clever, and how it looked, how it went, because it's not easy to pull off. The themes that they had, the flags with the moments in time coming down that were linked to the year that they'd done it. I just thought it was absolutely spectacular, and they deserve all the credit under the sun.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Listen, I am a defender of the Union Bears. Anyway, I think that's fair to say. I know they're not everyone's cup of tea, and they do some stuff.
You're just a wee ultra at heart, really, aren't you? You're still that 16-year-old boy I knew that was holding up the banners, even though you claim the banner didn't say what it said. But that's you.
That's me. I'm very ultra, going around stabbing people in the arse. I'm well known for it and whatnot. But
that's Italian ultras. That's not Scottish ultras.
The Union Bears do not do that. I just want to say that
before the BBC pick up on that. Neither David nor the Union Bears go about stabbing people in the arse. That's an Italian ultra thing.
No, I don't do it recently anyway. But listen, they do some silly things at times, but I think people like to speak out both sides of their mouth and criticise if they're doing things when it's a lot of young guys doing silly things. And I don't know.
We all did.
I did some silly things, particularly going to watch Rangers back in the day. So
I'm very glad that camera phones weren't about when I was on buses. That's all I'm going to say on it.
Yeah, they were. Thankfully, they were potato quality when I was younger, or nobody had them at that point, so it was good. But listen, I think I'm very much a defender of them, and what they put on for us on Saturday was fantastic. The history side of it, all the banners of former players and managers. The poncho thing I thought was brilliant, and I've been seeing a lot of things, online about if we ever redo the seats in Ibrox, do them red, white and blue. I totally agree with that. I think Leon have that, and I've seen that before and it looks really good. I would do that next time we're doing the seats up. I thought the display and the whole stadium for what the Union Bears did looked absolutely fantastic on Saturday.
Yeah, it did, and the pre-match atmosphere was spectacular, and the crowd were right up for it. But unfortunately, in the first half, the team couldn't really get into it in the same way. It was similar to what we saw against St Johnstone, minus the early goal. The team looked flat, looked sluggish, I thought. So did Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. He said afterwards the first half was not a good performance. It was just laboured, Dave. Every pass took too long to arrive. People were taking the extra touch. The movement wasn't quite as zippy as you needed it to be. And look, Aberdeen do play a smothering game when they come to Ibrox, and they worked really hard. They weren't great, but they were organised and they were committed, and they were closing down space. So it was going to be a game that wasn't handed to us. We were going to have to work for it. I don't think Aberdeen offered much going forward at all. Over the full 90 minutes, in all honesty. So I don't think there was any doubt that Rangers were likely to lose this game. It reminded me a lot of, do you remember a 0-0 draw a couple of seasons ago in Gerrard's second season against Aberdeen? We had a 0-0 draw at Ibrox. And it reminded me of that, where The players were, trying, but it was too slow, too ragged, ended up with a cross into the box that Aberdeen were mopping up no problem. And in the first half in particular, we just lacked any sort of incisiveness. And also, I thought any sort of zip to our play. There was no effervescence to it.
The free games against Aberdeen this season have been so frustrating because we know how they're going to play, particularly now under Jim Goodwin. I mean, I know he's not everyone's cup of tea because of the team he supports, his allegiances, and the way he sets up a team. But one thing he does really well, I mean, he does the basic stuff right first. He sets a team out to be hard to beat and defend well. He did it at St Mirren to, a good level of success there, and that's how he set the team up against us on Saturday. But at the same time, we know that's how the game's going to be. In the three games against Aberdeen this season, they have successfully dragged us down to their level. And that first half on Saturday, I don't know, there just seemed to be an acceptance from the team going, this is going how we thought it. And either, not knowing how to change it, or just an acceptance going, well, this is going to be how it's going to be.
Yeah, moving the ball from side to side, and as I say, just not really getting to the byline, not really getting in beyond. And into the second half, the team, I thought, came out with a bit more zip. The quality wasn't hugely improved, but at least started to make Aberdeen work a bit harder for it, and start to smother them that bit more. The worst part of the first half for me is that Aberdeen were comfortable. Whereas at least in the second half, I thought we made them slightly more uncomfortable. There were some changes, and one I want to pick out on, and first of all, good, because it had been a real sort of head scratcher for me the previous two games about the lack of substitutes, but they were made, and we'll come to one that was pivotal in a minute. But one I want to pick out is that he had started with Calvin Bassey at centre back, and that meant Borna Barisic at left back. He took off Barisic, who had very little impact in the match, and he put Bassey out to left back with Balogun going in at centre back. Now, at the moment, I think Bassey is streets ahead of Barisic. It doesn't have the delivery that Barisic has, but he causes far more bother. Mm-hmm. And almost instantly, he started getting to the byline. He's got an amazing ability to do that. And that changes the game, because then instead of Aberdeen defenders being able to face forward all the time, they're having to deal with balls that are coming in from behind them. Yeah. They're having to deal with runners, and it causes more confusion. It gets you more set pieces. It's a valuable talent, and it's one that he seems to have almost naturally, that he gets the head down and he goes. And we know, of course, he's such a powerful player, but he's also got good ball control that's maybe underlooked sometimes. And I just thought that you're watching the game back, after knowing the result, I thought that was quite an important thing that was maybe overlooked slightly.
Yeah, I think my only frustration with it, I think it was the right move to make, but the defence that was when that change was made was the defence that should have started the game for me. I did find it a bit puzzling, to put Bassey in at centre half when we had both Balogun and Hollander on the bench. I know with the 5 subs now, we've got the ability to make more changes, but I think if you've got 2 centre halves on the bench there, then surely you can start with one of them. And if you need to make the change, you can just do like for like, because as you say, we get much more with Bassey out there on the left, driving to the byline, other than Borna, who just, I don't know what's wrong with Borna Barisic now, to be honest. But he's, for me, absolutely lost the shot there at left back. Yeah. Calvin Bassey.
He wasn't bad per se. He wasn't full of mistakes or anything like that. But he didn't contribute much.
He's just not offering anything. Yeah,
he's just not offering anything. He didn't get to the byline. He didn't really whip in many balls, and when he did, they were from deep. And yeah, he just looks in a bit of a funk at the moment. And I'm sure that he's trying very hard to get out of it, and he has managed it in the past. But in the past, we didn't really have the options at left back. That we certainly didn't have a Calvin Bassey.
No, exactly. And, for his first couple of seasons, we had John Flanagan covering in the full-back area. So, I mean, that's the good point now that we have got somebody there to come in and cover him. He's not just covered him, he's overtaken him. But Bassey just offers so much more right now. And I think you're right, you're saying he is a much better ball player than he's perhaps given credit for in the past. I think since he came in last season, we all recognised straight away that he's got that raw athletic talent. But I think it's something he's certainly kicked on really from the start this year. His actual ball playing and what he can contribute with the ball at his feet has progress leaps and bounds this year.
The other big substitution, of course, was the removal of Alfredo Morelos for Kemar Roofe, and that met with a chorus of disapproval from the stands at Ibrox. Not that Roofe was coming on. As soon as Alfie went off and he came onto the pitch, he got a round of applause. More just when the number went up that people were surprised to see that it was Morelos going off. And this is a really interesting one, I think. And I'm interested to get not only your views, but the views of the listeners as well on this one. That you have your top scorer and unarguably, I think, our best player in 2022, certainly the best player in this calendar year, when you're chasing a goal and you take him off. And some people are just, okay, it worked, but you should never do that. The other side of it, the argument that was put forward by our friend Martin Ramsey, who was at the game with me, he said Alfie has been terrible today, which he had. It's not, I think, unfair on Alfie. He's still been our best player in 2023. He just was having an off day. He said, and him and Roofe don't work together. They never have. It just doesn't work as a combo. So if you want Roofe on through the middle today, it's horses for courses, because Roofe cannot do what Alfie does. He cannot smash defenders. He cannot lead the line on his own. We saw that at Parkhead. He cannot occupy a defence. He doesn't have any of those skills. However, what he does have in a tight game when a team are camped in their box is that extraordinary movement, that ability to find a half yard, to sniff something out, to be on the end of things. So where do you start? I find it fascinating because I'm not sure where I stand on it. I can see merits in both arguments.
Well, firstly, were you shouting boo or boo earns?
I was shouting boo earns.
Exactly. I would say I'm very much a pragmatist when it comes to this sort of thing. I just want the decision that ends in a win, and that's what that's ultimately led to. But at the time, I can't say I was too happy. My first thought was, despite how Alfie didn't have a good game on Saturday, but when you're chasing a goal to win the game in a match that you need to win, taking off your top scorer does seem a wee bit mental to me. I know it's an argument made by many and seems to be very much a learned thinking that Alfie and Roofe can't play together. I don't know. I don't know if that's been tested enough for that to be the case, to be honest. I think I read after the game Saturday that they've only actually started together like a handful of times. So I'm not sure if that's something that's set in stone that they absolutely can't play together. I'd certainly like to see it tried again, because it's not as if we're firing all cylinders at the moment.
We need to get goal scorers into the team, and Roofe and Morelos are two who regularly get you goals. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, bringing Roofe on, I think, was absolutely the right decision, and I think we need to get him in the team because he is one of, if not the best finisher in the team, and it's something that we're really lacking right now. We look so blunt in front of goals. Again, Saturday we had so many shots. I think again it was up towards 20, if not above that. And again, only a handful of them were on target. I think 3 or 4 shots on target the whole game.
Yeah, this is a problem. It was a problem against St John's. It's a problem now. The team collectively don't weigh in with enough goals, and we've seen that. Ryan Kent, who is still contributing. Zero doubt about that. A couple of assists a week before, brilliant against Dortmund, etc. But he doesn't score enough. He's got 2 goals this season, and for a guy playing that role at Rangers, he needs to score more goals than he does. And what happens is that the reliance on Morelos gets bigger and bigger. If he's not putting the ball in the net, nobody is. Whereas last year, we did have guys contributing. Hadji and Roofe is the one that's mentioned a lot, and that is true. But you also got goals from the defenders. There were headers going in, set pieces. There were goals coming in, and really, as you say, it's Morelos, it's Tav, and then there's nobody else that you think he's going to get his 10 this year. And you need those guys. You need a couple at least of those guys. They're certainly getting you 7 or 8, and we haven't really had that. And it's not like, we hadn't made chances, as we mentioned, against Motherwell and Dundee United with 59 attempts, but we scored 3 goals, and that was the problem. And of course, we conceded 3 out of 4, which is another issue.
Yeah.
I would say against both St Johnstone and Aberdeen, who are not great sides, incidentally. I don't want to make out that we were suddenly playing.
I think they're awful sides, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean, they St Johnstone are a deeply, deeply poor side, and that pitch is god awful. Aberdeen are in 10th for a reason, and they changed their manager recently for a reason. But yeah, I just think that we need to be better at putting the ball in the back of it. And it's so simple. And I know folks are sitting going, oh, duh, David. And I get that. I absolutely do. But I think that it's just something that we have been better at and got the success. There's zero doubt we should have won the last 4 matches, and we should have won them really in a canter. We should have won them by a number of goals, and we didn't, because we don't take key opportunities at key moments. And that has been the issue. On to the goal itself, Jim Goodwin was complaining afterwards. He said that he felt it was a foul on Calvin Ramsey. Aaron Ramsey in the brain, me. I'm Aaron Ramsey daft, But it was a foul. Now, I couldn't recall it from watching it at the game. I didn't see it, but I watched it back. I didn't think it was a foul. And I asked our other professional referee or qualified referee, Stevie, for his opinion. He said, no, it's not a foul. Ramsey is trying to buy a foul. He's not strong enough. So what he does is he instigates some contact, drops, and waits for a free kick. The ref was quite right not to buy it. Dave, you're a qualified referee as well. Your thoughts?
No, I'd agree with Stevie there. He falls down. if he feels his Bassett behind him and he falls down, it's as simple as that. For me, and I think when you actually look at back, he actually could have cleared the ball, so nobody blamed himself.
Yeah, and Aberdeen do this. And to be fair to Beaton, he still had one of his usual erratic matches, but to be fair to him, he did let a few go. So it wasn't like it wasn't in keeping with the rest of the game where he let a few go. For both teams, there was a couple on us where I couldn't believe it. But he would point, say, he got the ball or whatever, or not enough, and wave the player on. So, but even so, having watched that back, it's 15 seconds and a whole new passage of play before the ball goes in. And it sort of reminded me a wee bit of the goal that we conceded against Motherwell. Yes, it was offside, but you still have to look at your own part in this. It's too easy to say, oh, well, it should have been a free kick. It's like, well, it wasn't a free kick. You had plenty of time to reset and deal with it, and you didn't. So I have to say, I don't have a lot of sympathy there.
No, near they are. It's when he came out after the game as well and said, we don't expect to get 50-50s here. No. If that's not bringing the game into disrepute, I don't know what is. But there's plenty of it wasn't a foul in the first place, and there was plenty of chances for Aberdeen to clear the ball or get to regroup thereafter. Nobody to blame but themselves.
Well, you see stories in the paper. Rangers can't score a goal without an inquiry into it to find out why it could have been disallowed. And the one at the weekend, the other one, I actually saw a story in a newspaper today that they tweeted out saying sports scene panels agree that Rangers' goal was onside. Well, of course they did, because it was a mile. He runs by the Aberdeen defender to get the touch. So on what? Of course it was onside. That's like sports scene pundits also agree. Sky mainly blue today. It's just this. Well, Rangers have scored. It was a winner, so there has to be something about it. It can't just be that Rangers, after piling on the pressure, eventually managed to force something in the Aberdeen box. Roofe reacts quicker than everybody else because he's a top player, and Rangers get the victory. It wasn't that at all.
It's just tedious, isn't it? It's boring at this point. But something else I want to pick up from that as well, that Jim Goodwin said, and a St Johnstone player said during the week as well, that they felt that they both deserved a point from the game. This annoys me, and I think it's the same vein of thinking as your managers who, like Bielsa's a good example. They only do one part of the game, They might attack all game, but if your team can't defend, it doesn't matter if that's the right way to play. The right way to play is the way that wins you the game. And there's two parts of football: there's attacking and defending. That to me, Aberdeen went out there and they were really organised for 90 minutes and they defended their lives, but they had no interest at all in attacking the game. If they got a 0-0 out of that on Saturday, all right, fair enough. We couldn't complain because we weren't good enough to break that down. But if your team it comes to defence for 90 minutes, you can't then complain when you lose the game because you were only interested in one part of it.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think that if you set up to try and not concede, and you do concede, that's the whole game plan goes in the bin.
Yeah.
That's always been the case, and I agree with you on that. It's like, well, we nearly held out for 90 minutes, but we didn't quite manage. Well, yeah. So what were you doing to try and get up there? I mean, Alan McGregor could have been out there with the slippers on. Such was the lack of any intent that they had to do. I want to give Goldson credit for that because he denied Aberdeen an out ball to Ramirez, which obviously is their only out ball.
I was going to say their only threat, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not unfair to say that, it is, but he's a big guy, Ramirez. He is good in the air. Even just cursory watching a sports scene each week, he gets a lot of headers. And Goldson denied him that. So Aberdeen didn't have an out ball, which meant, particularly in the second half, the ball just kept coming at them. And of course, you're liable to make a mistake if you're having to concentrate every second. You never get a break in play. We've seen it with us in Europe. If you can't get somebody to hold the ball, it's why Alfie is so important in Europe. If somebody doesn't hold the ball up and give your defenders a break and time to reset and time to go again in terms of their concentration, then you are liable to concede a goal, and that is exactly what happened there. So we got the victory. Celtic won at Livingston, so that keeps it to 3 points. And it's an odd one in terms of moods because Celtic fans are very happy, understandably. 3 points clear, and that's great. But there's a long way to go. It's 2 Old Firm matches, 8 matches to go. And Rangers fans, a lot of them are quite doubtful, and I don't believe we can do this. And I do wonder, if it's because there is this feeling among us, I think understandable and correct, that we should be out of sight by now, which we should. We absolutely should. Never mind trailing by 3 points. But without wanting to sound like, Happy S. Clapper, Esquire, there is a long way to go. We certainly are not in any way out of this. And the idea that we're not capable of A, beating them, or B, winning enough matches to get by them, I just find, if there was 2 matches left, I could understand the panic, but there isn't. There's quite a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably a wee bit more pessimistic about it than you are. I just don't have a lot of trust in this team because of how we've performed so far this season, and a lot of that is because we should be out of sight and we're not. The thing that for the other side of the coin of that is that Celtic aren't a great team by any great shapes either. I think they will drop points. We've got 8 games to go. There is that part of me, thinking, do you think our team, Rangers, are capable of winning those 8 games? I wouldn't be putting money on it. I just don't think we've had the consistency for me to comfortably say that, yeah, I think we'll win the next 8 games and win the league. Other people have been arguing with me that, well, we probably won't need to win all 8 games, which quite possibly will be true as well.
I really prefer if we did.
I mean, I would, if you were to give me an option, I'd rather we win the next 8 games. But I don't know. I just think the overall quality throughout the league this season, and this, fans of pretty much every team has said this. The quality in the league this year has been quite poor, and I think it would be very this season if we were now to go and 1-0 our way to the title from here on out.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point, to be honest. I think that we have been a little sluggish.
It's not been fun. It's not.
It's felt like a chore for the players at times, and there have been times it kind of, felt that we were really whittling into the wind. But I do think that there's still plenty of time to turn it around. And I suppose it's the difference between, I'm not saying we will win the league, but the idea that we can't, I think, is
Yeah, I
very
wouldn't
pen
be
and
saying we
paper.
can't. No.
No, because there's still plenty of opportunity for us to go and do it. And yeah, 8 scrappy 1-0s will do it. I would hope for a lot better. I think the team are capable of a lot better. But I realise, as I say, I've been slightly hypocritical because I mentioned this on social media today, and I stick by it. This week we have two big games, 2 weeks off from the league, but we've got some big games in that time. First up, we welcome Red Star Belgrade on or Crvena Zvezda.
Is it Red Star's fine with me?
Red Star to me, yeah. You know
Yeah.
me, David. I'm an old school. I'm not old. I'm old
Mhm.
school traditionalist. So Red Star Belgrade arrive on Thursday. I strongly suspect that we'll be excellent against Red Star, and then on
Yes.
Sunday look like we've never seen a football previously. I don't know why, but then I think, well, you do know why. It's because that's happened so often in the past. They're big games though for different reasons. One, Red Star, they are a very good side. So anyone who's got in their head that this is a dawdle, I
Mhm.
don't think there's many, but let me guide you away from that thought. They are a right good team, and they're more than capable of winning. Equally, at this stage of the competition, they're a beatable side. They are a side that you would look at and say, okay, it's a 50-50 tie. Both sides will fancy their chances. It's a 50-50 tie. There isn't one I think goes in as an overwhelming favourite. And at this stage of the competition, that's really all you can ask for. A win there, and we're through to the quarterfinals of the Europa League, and that's a hell of an achievement.
Absolutely, and do you know that the funny thing is, I am right now. I'm more confident that we'll win this tie than I am that we'll win the league, um, because we're just a different outfit in Europe this year, and I think that's a mentality thing. I know it was either you or Adam questioned that to the team in the press conference the other week, and it was batted down, but there must be a reason for the performances being night and day. But looking at this on its own, it's going to be a tricky tie. But I think it's a winnable one. I think we will win it. You have to say, if we can go into Europe and beat Borussia Dortmund home and, over 2 legs, then we can beat anyone that's still left in the competition. Going to be tricky, but very much looking forward to it. And yeah, fancy us.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that we're more than capable of doing it. And I think that if we go and show a positive first leg performance, then we set ourselves up for what will be a difficult trip. That it is a difficult place to go, as the cliche says. But equally, so is Ibrox. Has been for anybody in Europe since Gerrard arrived and has continued under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. We are not a side that are easily swept aside. We've proved that in the past. So,
Do you know what I'm looking forward to? I was reading this week that their fans have been chanting pro-Putin and Russian chants at the ground. So this tie's just turned into Rocky Four, and I am up for that.
yeah, and we're the Rocky Balboa.
Oh yeah.
He ended communism,
He did. He
Yeah,
united the Soviet Union and America. It was
yeah.
incredible.
I've seen that documentary, Rocky Four. It's it contains all the things about how him and David Hasselhoff singing at the Berlin Wall. Everyone knows that. But no, I'm the same. I look forward to it. Our cup record is absolutely atrocious. We have not got past the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup in the last 3 years. Now, I watched Aston Villa go to Manchester United in the Cup earlier this season, and the commentator said Steven Gerrard had quite a good Cup record at Rangers. He made the quarterfinals every year. No, that's not a good Cup record at Rangers. That's actually a fairly disastrous Cup record at Rangers. And
surely you must know that. What a stupid thing to say.
I thought it was an odd. I mean, in English terms, I suppose getting a quarterfinal every year is not bad, but aye. I just thought, no, son, no, you're wrong there. And it's true, and it's been incredibly frustrating. Now, of course, once we get by that, we've got the Hampden thing to overcome, but I'd at least like to get there and try, because again, all due respect, Dundee are not a good side. They're where they are in the league for a reason. It's an away tie, which obviously makes it trickier, but you still should have more than enough to overcome a Dundee side away from home. And yes, they're going to be bang up for it. Mark McGee's in charge there, so we know that. But you look at the squads, and Rangers, if the attitude is right, should comfortably win it.
If we can't beat Dundee in these next 2 games, just throw the whole season in the bin. They're awful. It's really that simple. There should be no troubles from this game. They are a truly, truly awful team.
Should is the key word, though, isn't it? And I think that's the problem. And again, I don't think it's being pessimistic, because I expect us to win. Don't get me wrong. I think it's just going on what we've witnessed recently and going on the cup record. And we've mentioned this before. The only way that this Rangers team can get people not thinking their cup record is poor is to win the cup. That's really the only way.
Win the fucker. That would be nice. Yeah.
That would be pleasant. I would enjoy a wee day at hand. And I think in terms of momentum.
2009 since the last time we won the Scottish.
2009, yep, Nacho Novo. That goal against, I think Scott Arthur played for Falkirk that day.
He did, that's right. And Neil McCann was in the Falkirk team that day as well.
That's right, yeah. Well, there's a few Rangers eras meeting that day. But yeah, so it's one of those things that the idea, or the perception rather, of it will only change if you change what's been happening in it. So we need to get to that. But very much at this time of season, Dave, it's one game at a time, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks for that, Hoggy, that old cliche coming up. But I mean,
it is a cliche, I've got to admit. But I actually think we were pretty good at it last year. I don't think that last year we focused, it's certainly in the league. I don't think we looked ahead. I think
this time last year we'd won the league.
We had, yes, and what a day it was.
Yeah.
But I want to have another day like that, and I want us to go and do it this way. And maybe, the fact is that it needs to be a title race, which it wasn't last year. Rangers went over the hill in October and never looked back. But I always thought that us winning 55 would probably be like this, ups and downs, and you need to stick in. So maybe it's 56. And maybe because I've seen us do it in the past, and when we weren't expected to, that's why I keep faith. And I accept that it is faith, because I think if you look at some of the performances, you would be perfectly justifiable in putting a case together to say, well, the team isn't playing well enough. But I still think that you're entitled to believe, no, we will win the league. Again, it's one of those football arguments that I never really understand, that people get annoyed with you if you think that we'll win the league or we won't win the league. It's a subjective thing, and it's to do with your personality. It's to do with, where you are in your life at any given point. We'll all find out, right? And if you were right or wrong, it won't change your feeling. You'll be gutted.
Nothing we say will make a difference.
Not delighted if we do. So yeah, it's entirely up to somebody. It's just this need, I think, that we have as humans, that people must agree with us on something. Whereas I'm like, yeah, you don't think we'll win the league? That's cool. I disagree. That's sort of the end of it. But Scottish social media for you. Anyway, let us look forward to those matches. We will, of course, be back. Adam will be back with Heart and Hand Extra at the end of the week. I'll be back next Monday here on Heart and Hand. If you want to hear more from us, particularly I want to give David a wee platform here about the Rangers women's team show over on our Patreon show. David, the Rangers women's team have been flying recently, 6-1 at the weekend over Partick Thistle, following up a 3-0 tonking of Celtic.
Yeah, team's going great guns in the league. Sorry, actually, first we actually scored first in that game within the first 5 minutes, and it just seemed to annoy us, which is a great reaction to have.
Should be the Rangers' way, that. Yep.
Yeah, so we were 1-0 down after 5 minutes. I think it was 3-1 at half time. So it was a fairly decent reaction. Team's going great guns. We are going to win that league. We're a point behind Glasgow City with 2 games in hand. There's nothing that can really stop us at this point. We still need to play City one more time. We're actually, the way it's lined up at the moment, we are due to win the league by playing City on the start of April, I think it is. So sorry, 8th of May, I think the game is. So I can't see us slipping up here. If you're interested in the women's team, get that date in your diary. 8th of May, Rangers versus Glasgow City. That is scheduled to be title day.
Well, let's hope the men's team and the women's team are celebrating a glorious double at the end of the season. David, thanks for joining me.
Pleasure as always, mate.
You can hear more from us over on Patreon, patreon.com/heart and hand from just £1.50 per month. Yeah, under 50p a week. So go and check it out over there. I'm sure you will find plenty to love. Thanks to our executive producers in London, Mike Lee and Paul Miles. And thanks to all of you for listening. So good luck to the Bears on Thursday night. Let's take another step forward in Europe. Thanks for listening, folks. Take care. Bye-bye. How's a free case of beer sound? After, let's face it, longest January on record and off the back of some pretty testing times, I reckon it sounds good. Let's face it, we all deserve a party, and, well, a case of free beer will help that get going. And you can get a case of free beer from our pals at Beer 52 by going to www.beer52.com/heart. And covering the postage, which is just $5.95. It's the biggest beer club in the world. Each month they send members a case of beer from different parts of the world, and this month it's an absolute belter. It's the Great European Road Trip case, and who knows more about Great European Road Trips than the Gers? We're just coming back from one right now. You can have a crisp Pilsner from Norway's Lervig Brewery and a monster 7.5% double IPA from Sweden's Duges Brewery. On the dark side of beers this month, there's a smooth coffee stout from Copenhagen's Tuel, and there's also beer from Croatia, Poland, Germany, Serbia and Austria. If dark beer's not your thing, you can choose the light only case, and as always with Beer 52 you get the Ferment magazine, some snacks to soak it up, and even if you don't like it after that, you can just cancel at any time. So go to www.beer52.com/heart to claim your free case now. That's beer52.com/heart.